Hello everyone, this is Press here, and today I'm going to be introducing a new series revolving around advanced opening strategies that teams could implement onto the Warzone maps. The overall premise and goal of these strats are to have all the lanes and sites of the maps covered so that all enemy flanks and positions can be called out, while also having the main objective or middle base take the most priority. The first map we're going to be covering is Skirmish at Darkstar. Now this is probably the only map where we got to implement any of these opening strats in a real game, as we had half of the team in custom games going over stuff beforehand. So starting off with the actual lanes and places themselves, there's going to be 6 total places that are going to be covered on this map. Beginning with the far right side of the map, the first lane is going to be called Colony, and that is where the initial 25-point boss spawns. The next lane is to the left of Colony and is called Open or Mid Colony. Next, we have the Armory itself, which will obviously need to be capped in order to reinforce the fortress push. And lastly, covering over the fortress, we're going to have 3 different key lanes and places to cover. We have the main front door, the lower big doors, and the upper small doors. Both pair of doors will be referred to as in-game as our big door or our small door. So how many players will be sent to each place? 2 will be sent to Colony, 2 will be sent to the open colony, 2 will be sent to capture our armory, with 1 person leaving to either help the fortress or colony once the base begins to capture. 3 players will control the front door entrance of the fortress, 2 will enter the top small door, and the last player will enter the fortress from the lower big door. So what are the roles of all these players in each lane? Starting off with the colony push by the 2 players, these 2 players have 2 key roles that are game-changing and can be detrimental to the outcome of the game. The first of these roles is to try their best to eliminate the 25-point boss that spawns in Colony at the beginning at all costs. Gaining that wreck boost and the 25 points can be huge. The boss will either be a scout or a night luminary. The exact spawn location can be very unfair on where the boss spawns. The luminary usually spawns on the blue side, while the scout usually spawns on both sides, but tending to spawn on the red side more often. The best way of killing these bosses will be either to melee or shoulder charge to the back of them, but keep in mind that the luminary has to be weakened before the back spot appears. Moving on to the second role of these colony players, and this role is huge. You have to have 2 players with mics and a lot of awareness. These 2 players have to make the call out to their team if they see a large push from the enemy team that is rushing through the colony, and that could mean a large-scale push from them going to the other base to cap their own armory.
At least 4 in colony? 5 in colony?
So many in colony.
Yeah, 5 in colony.
Okay,
5
so
in
that
colony.
we got the call out. Now we know there's a lot. Let's see.
So many.
One in the middle of the map.
7. Yeah, dude,
Hey,
like
one in the
7.
They're all
one
here.
shot
They're
in
all
the
here.
middle.
Yep, they're all pushing it, guys. I'm telling you right now, they're pushing it.
Wait, 2 seconds, I'm spawning for us. Right there.
Hey, they're all pushing the base.
Here they come, here they come. Here comes 5 people.
We're slaying them. We're capping fort,
Here we go.
This can put your team in a very bad situation. I've lost so many games where we send almost all our players to Fortress, get it around 95% capped, and then here our own base was captured. This gives the enemy team 2 bases so they can pinch in on the Fortress from both sides, and it also cuts off our own team from sending in reinforcements to the Fortress. It's an all-around bad situation that has caused a lot of good teams to lose to underdogs, all because of an awareness and communication error. Once the boss is killed and the armory is captured, both players should help capturing the fortress in some way. Rushing the enemy armory and delaying it is not uncommon, as with helping the fortress teammates by pushing the fortress. Next off, we have the open colony lane. These 2 players are basically a hybrid of what the colony and fortress front players do. They need to be able to assist the colony teammates if a large-scale enemy push is going through colony, and they also need to be able to assist the fortress front door players by not letting the enemy team push through the outside front door entrance into the fortress. These players need to be versatile. Similarly to the colony players, once the armory is captured and the boss is dead, they can either choose to rush the enemy armory or help the fortress push. Next, we have the armory players. These 2 players' roles are pretty simple. Both of them need to clear out the AI as quickly as possible, have 1 player jump up on top and 1 go through the bottom so that both floors are covered. Once the AI is cleared, 1 pre-decided player will leave the armory. This player will either help the colony if there is a large push, or will go to the fortress to help the team get the middle base. The other player on the armory will obviously cap it, but should be in a certain place to gain a view on the map. They should be on the second floor in the window so that they can see if any other players are trying to sneak into the armory to delay it. This player needs to be very aware. Also, after the armory is captured, this player may get a carbine out during the duration of the fortress capture and needs to make sure that no sneaky enemy team push comes through colony. Moving on to the fortress front door, this can be a very key position of the map. It is basically an intersection with 4 ways of contact that allows teams to get reinforcements into the fortress. There's the 2 small door hallways from both sides, and both the front entrance to the fortress and the outside front entrance. These 3 players don't really need to have mics, they just need to be able to be pure slayers. They need to be able to hold off the other team from gaining control of this key intersection, as it's very important to getting reinforcements into the fortress so that it can be captured. Next, we have the 2 small door players. These 2 players need to immediately get inside the actual fortress and start clearing out the AI only on their side. Once the AI is clear, they can either gain back fortress control or help the front door players. Again, these players need to be huge slayers and have a huge awareness on where enemies could be hiding in the fortress. Lastly, we have the sole player who will go to the lower big door. This player needs to have a mic as they have 2 main roles, one requiring communication. Their first main role is to call out to their team on how many players are pushing through the lower big door. Their second role is to gain a back fortress control and to try and kill any enemy potential warthogs that are trying to delay the capture of the fortress. They also can help clear out any players trying to hide in the bottom of the fortress. Alright, so that sums up the strategy guide part of the video, but there's still a few more tips that I have for you guys. The first tip is, since Darkstar doesn't give you rec energy for clearing out your home base, many players will be stuck at level 1 longer than other maps. If you die early in the match and are still level 1, utilizing the Rally Scout Hogs to get to the fortress quickly will help secure the back fortress control and can delay the enemy team from capping. The next tip is to always keep an eye out on the 2-minute and 4-minute bosses while the fortress is still being capped. Assign roughly 1 to 2 players to be ready for the bosses and to have them try to splatter them in Hogs and Ghosts. Do not have the full team go for the bosses. The last tip is a reminder to use the right recs. Speed boosts, Furies, and Carbines are still as good as they have always been. So before I conclude, keep in mind that these roles aren't static and they can change and adapt to how the game is going. But keep in mind that I formed these strats so that they will cover all parts of the map and take everything into consideration. It just depends on how serious your team is and how many mics you have. It was awesome when we played a stacked team twice on this map, and during the first game, they sent everyone to the fortress and we just outslayed them and got it. On the second game, they sent everyone to colony to rush our base, and we completely shut it down, and the same outcome occurred, all due to communication and where we positioned ourselves. This was the only map where we had implemented one of the advanced strats, and it had worked wonderfully. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Also, please understand how much time it goes into making one of these videos like this. It's especially hard to do when I'm streaming 10+ hours a day. I'll continue making this series depending on how well this does, but I'll see you guys in my next videos.